Yeah. So she says all the nice stuff. Okay, this is the dynamic here. So when we first get a call for somebody to list their home, one of the first things I do is I pull it up to see if it's got a history of when it last sold, or if there's just tax records. Then I'll pull the trio from the title company too, just to make sure that I have the right information on the house. Then I set an appointment to meet with the client, just because I don't believe that you can ever go to a house with a CMA, comparative market analysis, without ever seeing the house.
Yeah.
That's just me. It's kind of like being any of those online automated valuation programs that you can just go on and say, how much is my home worth? They've never been inside of it, so they don't see the upgrades. They don't see the condition of the house. I have never seen the condition of the house. I can ask about what kind of upgrades, but I don't even know the location. I don't know if it's sitting next to a busy street or not. So I like that first time visit to a house, taking notes, getting to know the people. I want them to ask me questions. I want to be able to ask questions of them, what their intentions are, what their drive factor is, what do they feel their home is worth too. It's always best for me to know that in advance, if possible, is what do they think that their home's value is, so I can come back and justify it. So after I get all this information, after the initial visit, I will come back and run some comps. So when I'm running a comp, what I do is I try to stay similar in age, within a mile's distance, similar in style of the house, similar in square footage. There's usually about a 10% range of all of this either side, and then add or subtract for some of the benefits that they have or other houses have that I'm comparing it to, and then going to visit the competition. So of course we can't get into the sold houses, but that's what we're mostly basing the price off of. But I want to go visit what the competition is like too. So when I come back to the seller and say, this is what your home's value is, and they ask me, well, this house down the street here, I can say, well, yes, I visited that, and this is why theirs is worth a little bit more, or theirs could be potentially worth a little bit less. Because the neighborhood, the condition of the home, the way you've maintained it really is going to have an effect on price and value. So once we get that listing paperwork, I come back, I bring it to Mariah, and Mariah takes over from there with uploading it. And tell us what else you do.
Yeah, so I go through and just make sure all the boxes have been checked that need to. Any initials or things like that we need to have. It's just a second set of eyes. Usually we've gotten them all, but sometimes when you're talking and signing everything, you might forget to initial or check a box here or there. So I'm just making sure we have all of the required paperwork. And in some counties we require like a home energy score. So I'm checking to see, did we get that requested and when is it scheduled? We also are trying to figure out when is it going to go on the market. So Tim has had that conversation and will share that with me of, we're motivated to get this on the market as fast as possible, or they have a couple things they're working on. So it'll go on the market in about a month or two. So that will then determine what kind of activities I'm going to take or put on my plate at that time, whether I need to be scheduling a professional photographer to go in and take those photos to make sure they're getting the right angle. They're also there to help make recommendations on if you are living in the house while we're listing it, if certain elements like personal photos or various types of like holiday decor, we might not want you to put that out just in case you decide to not list right away and hold off for a minute. The other thing too is we bring in a videographer so that we can have somebody walking through your house as well. Pictures can do a lot for us, but those videographers can also bring to life your home in a different way as well. And just really putting your house at its best foot forward, I guess.
Well, and for listing a home, we always try to get to understand and ask the sellers to write why they bought that house, what they love about the neighborhood, because that's more than likely what's going to move into the neighborhood, and that will help us market to that same type of person.
Yeah.
The same words that you use in advertising don't work on each type of people.
Yeah.
She just mentioned dog-friendly, which we do have a lot of dog-friendly neighborhoods. Yeah. We have child-friendly neighborhoods, the cul-de-sacs, whatever it may be. There is something that attracted them to the neighborhood, and that's who we try to advertise to. We're not advertising to the neighborhood, we're advertising the neighborhood to potential buyers. Mostly they're going to be from out of state or across town. So getting to know I've never lived in the house. I don't know why you've loved living in this house, in this neighborhood. But getting to know that helps us advertise to the correct people.
Yeah. I think too, sometimes is recognizing how much you actually need to do in order to get your home ready, for buyers to be open to even envisioning themselves living in that house. Because no matter how nice your house is decorated, or if you end up needing to move before your home is actually ready to go on the market, you are relocating to another state. Even we've had a couple of those, and so their house is vacant. So then it's what areas make sense to stage, for how long does it make sense to stage, because somebody renting furniture for a stager sometimes can add up, especially when you're not expecting it, but it also can be really affordable for how much people can go in there and see some really nice, thoughtful put decor, that's easy for people to imagine themselves living in that house, because that's really the goal. Is you walking into a home that you are thinking of purchasing, you want to be able to see yourself living there. And so how can we do that from a different perspective? Sellers usually have memories attached to their houses, so for them there's some nostalgia and some things that had purpose for them that maybe doesn't have purpose for a new buyer or to everybody. So
Again, we use a lot of contractors. It's not just Mariah and myself. We have the stager and the videographer and the photographer, and we have professional flyers made up. There's a lot behind the scenes that a lot of people don't understand. There's probably a minimum of 20 to 40 hours just on Mariah's side on the preparation to get a listing on the market, and then there's another 20 to 40 hours on my side. And then we go to market, and then a whole new process starts at that point.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is to make sure that the people are comfortable with, number one, with the price, with us, with the way that we're going to market their home. That may or may not be different from what other realtors may do. I try to stand out because I know anybody can go in there and just take pictures and put it on the MLS. But if you can sell it more, the more exposure that you get on your home, the better. Now, all homes are going to be listed and go on to the Redfins, the Zillows, the Remaxes, the Coldwell Bankers. I mean, every IDX site out there is going to have your home, but giving it its own website, giving it its own QR code, exposing the neighborhood to your home, I think is advantageous. And again, if a seller decides to work with us, this is our promise to them that we will do everything in our best effort to get it sold for the price that it should be sold for.